Now in this lesson we're focusing on water, specifically reflections, and we want to look at how to handle the paint because reflections are totally other than what they're reflecting. This is a painting by Emile Groupé, and you can see when we look down in the water, the edges are totally different. The brushwork edges are softer. The darks are a little lighter. The darks reflected in the boat here from the boat are not as dark as the darks, but then the lights are a little darker. So nothing is the same as what's reflecting it. So if I have a dark tree reflecting in the water, it's going to reflect a little bit lighter. And if I have a light sail, like this one reflecting in the water, it reflects a little bit darker. And then the edges are always softer. If the water is moving, you get a lot of this movement. You can load up the brush with paint and just follow that flow of the water. If it's still, it's going to be really soft edge and everything comes straight down. But there's a lot of color in the reflections. Here the boat is a bluish color, but there's a lot of light that bounces around in the water. Plus the red of the boat here creates more of a warmer green color. But the value is what matters. It's darker than the boat. Same thing over here, the shadows. In this case, shadows are a little bit lighter than the shadows on the boat, but the light's a little bit darker than the light on the boat. And the only way to get this feeling of the flowing water, everything has kind of a flowing movement to it, is to use thicker paint. Because if you try to approach this with thin paint, it's not going to have any kind of impact. It'll be scratchy looking, won't have any fluidity to it or movement. This is another Emile Groupé stream instead of a harbor. But still, you can see the movement of the water breaks up the trees. Trees aren't as dark as the real thing. And here it's reflecting the water, or the water's reflecting the sky and the trees. And back here it's reflecting the mountains and some of probably the sky straight above it. But the deeper the water is, the more it's going to reflect what's above it. And then the more shallow the water is, the more you look through the water and see the rocks, the dirt. So what you see is the objects underneath the water. And deeper the water, you see the reflections that are above. So think about the water you're painting. Is it deep? Is it shallow? Is it moving? If it's still, the edges are going to be a lot softer, and my brush strokes are going to be more vertical. If the water's moving, I'm going to be going back and forth to create that horizontal movement of the water flowing instead of being still. This is the subject. I want to focus more on, just reflections. I will make the water a little bit bigger. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make the horizon line a lot higher. Cut off the mountains so the water becomes more important. We get more reflections in the water. But everything you can see here, everything is soft edged, slightly blurry. The water's moving a little bit. In the photograph, the darks on the reflection and the darks of the trees are about the same. Same thing with the values here, the hillside and the reflection. So the camera doesn't distinguish between the two too much. A little bit softer edged. So you have to be careful to make things a little bit of a value change, either darker or lighter. Colors are slightly more muted. So nothing's the same in the water reflection. And again, make sure we keep the paint thicker, because that's the only way to really get that feel of movement in the water and the reflections having some interest in them.